By the 1870s, the Dudleys were totally self-sufficient. They grew grains, field crops, fruit, and nut trees. Florida scrub cattle, hogs, sheep, and turkeys grazed the open range. Captain Dudley gained the status of a planter. He was successful, respected, and well known in the community. To improve access to the railroad, Captain Dudley and his only surviving son, PBH Jr., known as Ben, cut a 12-mile road from the farm to Gainesville. As the main travel route, many cow hunters and cattle drives used the farm as a rest and water stop. The farm became known simply as Dudley. After a marriage of 48 years, Mary Dudley died in 1880 at the age of 63. The old captain passed away a year later. The captain's obituary offered this tribute.
For years this was a place where weary travelers found rest, and none applied in vain. A good neighbor, generous to the extreme, no cry of distress was unheeded. His word was his bond, and beneath a rugged exterior was a true and kindly heart.
The second generation took the reins and developed the 900-acre farm to great prosperity. Ben Dudley moved his wife, Sarah Fanny Wynn, Fanny's 7 siblings, and their own 3 daughters to Dudley Farm. The family continued to grow. The existing 2-story farmhouse was built between 1880 and 1885.
My father built this house for the family, and he fixed the bottom part, and then the babies kept on coming, and he had to fix it upstairs. We had to tote the water in and out in buckets. And in 1901, I come along to be a pest to the family.
By 1901, Ben and Fanny had 8 daughters and 4 sons. Times were good for the Dudleys, and the land provided for their needs. They built 17 additional buildings on the farm from the longleaf pine trees on the property. Between 1875 and 1900, 3 major industries brought one of the greatest economic booms to Alachua County: railroads, oranges, and phosphate. The county's population grew to 32,000 by 1900. Hundreds of phosphate miners and new settlers moved to the Dudley area. Ever keen and hard-working, the Dudleys responded to the new opportunity. They operated a general store along the Gainesville Road from 1892 until 1916. The store sold many items, from canned goods, meats, cloth, and tobacco to farm tools.
A lot of them have someone riding the horses up there to get some groceries. And they usually give them a little piece of candy that they could eat going home. You see little pieces like that big around. And of course those kids are going to have fun with eating it going home.
Communication with distant family wasn't easy in those days, and the Dudleys responded once again. They operated a post office in the store from 1892 to 1894. The 15 or 20 neighbors rode up on horses, wagons, or buggies to buy their store goods and to pick up the twice-a-week mail. It was also a good time to catch up on local gossip and swap tall tales. After Ben's death in 1918, Fanny managed the farm with the help of her children until her death in 1937. Fanny always loved the farm, and she often expressed her desire to preserve it as a tribute to the family and the farming way of life. In the 1920s, tobacco became the new cash crop. Farm tools were changing too. During the 1930s, Ralph bought his first John Deere tractor by trading 2 Dudley mules to the local tractor dealership. Mechanization brought changes to the farm, yet farming was still hard work. The family and the hired hands worked from sunup to sundown. Dudleys remained large-scale farmers through the Depression until in 1940, the last tenant left the farm. The last large-scale enterprise to end was in 1945 when Myrtle and her sister Winnie closed their chicken and egg business, which at one time consisted of 600 laying hens. The strong family bond stayed intact through the years. 3 siblings stayed on the farm all of their lives, and 2 others lived nearby. But times changed, and the family was aging. By 1982, Myrtle, the youngest granddaughter of Captain Dudley and the youngest daughter of Ben Dudley, was alone on the farm. Miss Myrtle was the last of 3 generations. Fanny's wishes were not forgotten. Miss Myrtle Dudley honored her mother when she donated Dudley Farm to the Florida Park Service in 1983. The gift included all the farm buildings, family heirlooms, and farm tools. The Dudley family has given us a link to our shared past and a glimpse at the life of the hard-working pioneers who built this state.
Can't hide anywhere. Yeah, you have to be careful not to slam the door in. Hey, they suck everything in.
That's right. That's right. Only going out at night when it's cold.
This is what it looks like to bring it out. Peel and the grits and all together. Just it out nowadays, just sort it out, separate it. Bring it in out of the peel. Take the grain off, top on it, separate the grain from the top, put it in there. Billow, yep.
By the mid-1800s, fellows were pretty well gone, and they were using these kinds of blowers.
Are y'all familiar with the process? Do you know what we're doing here? We'd love to hear what it's all about. All right. Now we are making cane syrup. We are not making molasses. Okay?
That's good.
They're in two entirely different products. But, of course, you know what sugar cane is? You know what sugar cane is? Okay, right. Okay, well, we grow the cane here on the farm still too. And then this time of year, it has to be stripped, which is you remove the leaves from it, and then it has to be cut. And then we bring it up here, and like these boys are doing, you see, you hitch a mule or a horse to the end of the sweep.
Or your husband.
Or your husband. Or if you had a bunch of kids, you kept them around till you gave the mule a break. And you just round and around, and there are 3 big cast iron rollers inside that mill. They're geared together, and it just squeezes the cane flat, squeezes the juice out. Juice runs into that barrel. When we get the barrel full, then we bucket it over into this kettle here, and then we build a fire under it. Now, in the initial phases, we keep a kind of a low fire under it. You don't want it to boil too rapidly. And then there are a lot of stuff that rises to the top, and we keep steaming that off. See, it starts out pretty muddy looking, like that. So we get that out of there. Then once we get all of the skimmings to rise to the top, and we feel like it's pretty clean, then we build up a much bigger fire under it. And you see we put this ring down on the edge of the kettle, and we put these cotton rags around it. And we'll boil the syrup up, run over that ring, and it'll run back down through those cloths, and filter it even more. And then when we're done, when the syrup is finished, we have a take-up tank. We put that over here where the skimming tub is, and we have another cloth that goes over that, and then we do a final filtration, and then we bottle straight off of that take-up tank. And this is an 80-gallon kettle, so we should get about 8.5 gallons of syrup from it. And we have an instrument called a hydrometer that we put in a test can, and it tells what the density of the syrup is. And we know what density to cook it to, and so we know that it'll keep them. So